everybody, and welcome to the L&D Leadership League Twangout on Impact of Onboarding Solutions on Business. A People Matters initiative in association with Center for Creative Leadership, Pearson Talent Lens, Sum Total Systems, a Skillsoft company, Great Lakes Institute of Management, and Wilson Learning. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Savita from People Matters, and we'll run you through a little about the league, and then we'll straight move into the session. This is the third edition to the L&D Leadership League that we have in place, and we bring to you a lot of activities across the year. So each one of us learns, shares, and grows in this entire process. I'm pleased to share with you that in our new initiative of the L&D Leadership League, which this Twangout happens to be a part of, it started yesterday, which is 2nd of November, and it's until the 6th of November, and it's a dedicated learning week. We have daily newsletters, daily news, video releases, one Twangout, which is today. Tomorrow we have a tweet chat and a webinar on the 4th of November. Do make sure you do not miss out on any, because this is dedicated for the learning community. This has absolutely been possible because of our partners, so I would like to thank them once again: Center for Creative Leadership, Pearson Talent Lens, Sum Total Skillsoft, a Skillsoft company, Great Lakes Institute of Management, and Wilson Learning. With this, I'd like to introduce you to our guests for this Twangout, a mix of business and HR, I must say. So let me introduce you to our first guest, which is Aarti Shivramakrishnan, Head Human Resource of Barrow Incorporation. Aarti has worked with organizations such as ITC and the Times Group, and was head of HR for the erstwhile Inkfruit.com. In her entrepreneurial stint, she has been in the HR advisory roles with organizations in the e-commerce, education, technology, and consulting sectors. Welcome, Aarti. Pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Savita. Thanks for the very warm welcome.
Thank you. We also have Anand Narayanan, Vice President and Head Marketing at Barrow Incorporation. Anand spent a decade in the IT services industries, essaying various roles in marketing for TCS and HCL Technologies, including 5 years in Los Angeles with the media and entertainment verticals of TCS. In his last role as the head of brand office at HCL Technologies, Anand was part of the team that made B2B guerrilla marketing an art form. So welcome, Anand. It's a pleasure to have you as well.
Thank you. Those were kind words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before we start with our session, I'd like to remind you all that you can follow us on the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag #LNDLeague. Please share your comments, your posts. So Aarti and Anand, we can have Aarti and Anand involved in all the questions that we can take, as many as possible in these 30 minutes. For those not on Twitter, you may please inbox me your questions on savita.vijayan@peoplematters.in. So let's kickstart the session. Are we ready, Aarti and Anand?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Great, super. So with the first question that we have on board, so the topic is very interesting, which is impact of onboarding solutions on business. So we also have a business leader with us along with the HR leader. So the question is, what does onboarding mean to you at Barrow, at Aarti?
Okay. So Savita, I'm just taking a moment to set some context for our discussion. So Anand and I, through the next 30 minutes, what we would like to do is to synthesize some of our points around onboarding that have worked for us very well at Barrow, and hopefully present it in a generic manner, so that you may be able to take away something from this session, and the 30 minutes of time that you're investing with us is worth its while. Yeah. So to answer your question, Savita, we believe in the philosophy that onboarding is not a standalone event. It starts right from the first contact that a recruiter makes with the candidate. Okay, and if you were to draw parallels with the hospitality industry, you can walk into a posh 7-star hotel all you want, but you still go through the front door. You meet the person who opens the car door for you. You go through the person who's carrying your security baggage, probably a person who's opening the door, and that's where customer experience starts. So similarly for HR, onboarding experience starts with the recruiter. That's one philosophy which is the cornerstone of onboarding processes here at Bero. And one of the learnings that we've had is that it pays to treat every prospective candidate that you meet as a future employee. We're not there yet 100%, but the intent is very well ingrained in us. And in fact, my recruitment team is measured on candidate onboarding experience, and interview experience is a big part. Has a big score to that measurement, and we continuously monitor that. Another philosophy that's very central to the onboarding process at Bero, actually any HR process at Bero, and I'm a vocal supporter of this, and it might actually kind of raise some eyebrows, but my belief is that the biggest measure of success of human resources is in HR not being there at all, right? And onboarding is no exception. So at Bero, onboarding is not run by HR. Every batch has an executive sponsor, and literally the whole organization rallies behind an onboarding experience. So whether it's in creating content or whether it's delivering content, whether it's running assessments, mentors, buddies, the whole process is really taken up by different people within the organization. And from there, onboarding it's more like a marketplace within Bero. It's not a structured, sit down classroom kind of a program. It's more like a marketplace where you have access to content, you have access to mentors, you have access to buddies, you have access to, SPOCs, policies. So, I mean, think of it like an app that, you can just access things that you want that are relevant to you. These things form some central themes of onboarding at Bero. And one thing that we've been able to do over the years is to also shed a lot of our onboarding processes. So, earlier we were under the assumption that a very meaty and long, drawn-out onboarding process works well for Bero. But we realized, to give you an example, something like career support, right? Career progression, career paths, etc. They don't really resonate very well with employees on day one, because they're grappling with a lot of other things. They're grappling with, hey, what are the levels, what are bands, and stuff like that. So we moved that complete thing out of our onboarding process into a more personalized one-on-one effort called Career Conversations, and we invested a lot of time in personalizing it. So we go and we have one-on-one conversations and say, what are your interests, what are your strengths, this is what we think will fit. We give them diagnostics, we help them really make their career paths very, very enriching journeys. So these are some of the key themes of what onboarding means to Bero.
Great. So with this identification of what onboarding means to Bero, what are the challenges that are overcome by onboarding solutions? What do you think have been taken over, or you have overcome with these onboarding solutions? Anand, your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So it's going to be facetious for a marketer to try advising HR pundits, on onboarding solutions. So instead of talking about challenges overcome by onboarding solutions, I can tell you what we at Bero think it is not. For us, onboarding is not a set of rules or tools or classes to teach new joinees. It is not a process of transferring knowledge to new employees. It is not limited to the first 2 days or 3 weeks or 1 month of the employee's life in the organization. So what then is onboarding if it is not any of this? For us, it is the transference of life at Bero. Literally the summation of employee experience, spanning industry and process knowledge, how and where to obtain and enrich that, interaction and information about clients, even cultural quirks and the rites of passage, as it were. In short, everything it takes to be a Beroite. In fact, that is why onboarding for us actually never ends. It just seamlessly blends into a continuous learning program that Aarti actually alluded to in her answer, where she said we have this continuous learning program, one-on-one sessions, and so forth. So for us, therefore, onboarding begins, but it never really ends as long as the employee is associated with them.
Great, thank you so much. You very well put that life, how you translate the life at Barrow, and also the blended onboarding solutions that you have at Barrow. So, with this, what are the problems that Barrow have, and or what are the alternatives that you had when you suppose you had a challenge? And so, what are the alternatives that you had, and why did you choose the alternative that you chose as an onboarding solution for Barrow?
Hmm. Actually, you know what? Let me try answering that. Um, if you look at how we defined, how we've defined onboarding as something that begins but never really ends, as something that is all-encompassing, and something that actually transfers life at the organization to new employees, you'll realize that actually there's not much in terms of alternatives that are available. There is no single tool, library, or classroom session that can actually deliver the experience that we were looking for. Um, it was around that time that when we realized the only way this could work is if onboarding is done not by HR. I don't mean to put down HR in any way, shape, or form, but we realized this could only work if onboarding is done not by HR but by our actual employees. So onboarding, as Aarti mentioned at Barrow, is not done by HR or professional trainees conducting sessions. It is Barrowites speaking to new employees, conducting live workshops, real situations where you have employees being shadowed and played out. For instance, as the head of marketing, I make sure I meet and spend at least 2 hours with every new batch, introducing the brand, and then that's the important part. And then I keep in touch continuously to guide and monitor and help them settle in the organization, but also to pick up new things from them and enrich my next presentation, as it were. This constant loop actually ensures we have a constantly, self-sufficient onboarding program that we've found really helps us. Therefore, to be honest, we didn't really have any alternatives. It has evolved organically into something that we love and something that is really helping us.
Great, great. So, what is the solution if you have to define for the audience that we have at Barrow? What is the solution that you thought with the challenge that you have? So you said the marketing gets involved in the stage of induction. What else do you do in the onboarding stage as part of an onboarding solution for your new joinees?
Aarti can support me with this, but do you want to take that up, Aarti, before I go on?
Go ahead, Anand. I'll pitch in.
Yeah. So as I was saying, not just marketing, we have all of our exec team peers joining in. We have the business leaders, business team leaders coming in, and some of our best employees. In fact, all of our best employees actually coming in and leading an experiential program where they conduct live workshops. We actually have the new joinees come in and shadow them on how it is to really be a Barrowite. What does it take to do the kind of work that we do? How do you get the knowledge? How do you interact with clients? How do you get, acknowledge, solve problems? There are classroom sessions, but the classroom sessions are not confined to learning formulae or determining benefits and so forth. Everything is designed to be experiential. Everything is designed to be um, uh, interactive, and that we've noticed, therefore, really helps one settle the employees, but also help us continuously learn what's working, what's not working, and continuously enrich the processes out here at Barrow. Aarti?
Yeah, Savita, I think every manager would love to have an employee who can hit the ground running as soon as they join, right? So to be able to do that, we know for a certain role, we have a preset definition of what will help an employee get there. And I think the key to how our onboarding solution is structured is that it's very painstaking, but it's worth it because we customize onboarding solutions for different kinds of people who join in. So just to give you an example, if we're hiring a batch of freshers, the way we deal with them for an onboarding solution is very, very different from the way we deal with people with even a year's experience. So the content of the programs vary a lot. In fact, if I can exaggerate it, we can even, we even go down to the level of customizing it domain-wise. So, Bero, we're a procurement research firm, and we cater to, more than 300 clients in over 7 industries, and we have several domains that we work on. So we really customize the content on a domain-wise basis, right? So if we say that, okay, the incoming batch has 90% pharma, analysts, we create cases around pharma, we create client interaction scenarios around pharma. We have a passive observer who observes how people speak. So then she says, hey, you know what, most of your clients are going to be European, this is how you should be speaking, or most of your clients are going to be American, and this is how you need to do. So what I'm trying to say is that customization has really helped us get ahead of the curve of waiting for people to absorb an onboarding solution as such. And like Anand mentioned, this blends into a program that we run internally called Bero University. And our motto there is to really embrace continuous learning. So the learning never stops, and we have constant touch points even after a person has technically onboarded. So we have refresher courses, we have people, we have books that we send out, we have reading material, we have short snippets, we have other webinars. A big part of our onboarding program also involves a lot of exposure. So if we have to expose people to conferences, webinars, expert talk series, and and all of those things which are traditionally reserved by organizations for full-time learning, right? So we like to begin all of that early in the stage of an analyst's life.
Great. So learning never stops with that. You're watching the live L&D Leadership League Twangout with Aarti and Anand from Bero. Tweet your questions on our Twitter handle using the hashtag #LNDLeague, or email your questions to savita.vijayan@peoplematters.in. With that, we do have a question that's come on Twitter, and it is from Shameh Zak. And the question is, what's more important during an onboarding? Is knowledge transfer more important, or is employee experience most important? Aarti.
I think like Anand said earlier, I would only be able to speak from my the context that I am in. We strongly believe that transferring the intangibles is more important. I'd put it that way, not knowledge versus experience. See, at the end of the day, knowledge, content, all of that is accessible, right? Even if it's proprietary, it's accessible somewhere. It's documented in some form or the other. It can be self-learned. It can be, peer taught. But experiences and the intangibles are really not structured, right? So we like to use onboarding as a platform to be able to transfer that. So I'd say that we use it in order to ensure that the transfer of the intangible experience happens well at Bero.
Great. Thank you. Would you like to add anything, Anand, on that?
Yeah, just a quick point, if I may.
Sure.
And that is that for a knowledge organization, there is no way out other than to have your employees as your brand ambassadors. So as your employees speak to your clients on a daily basis, they are living embodiments of your brand. And if they are not ready to run and represent you as who you are, you're not really doing a good job. So it makes all the more sense for us to transfer the intangibles, and therefore that is what we really focus on. We just assume that the recruitment process is strong enough that people will want to pick up the tools that will make them successful in their job. But what we really want to transfer to them is the DNA, the culture, the ethos of this organization. And we do that, and the rest is essentially taken care of. It's not that we don't help them. They have a lot of tools, but we focus on the intangibles.
Great, thank you, Anand. So we already have the next question actually being demanded in my inbox and also on Twitter. So what business metrics were impacted as a result of this intervention that you have done at Bero? Anand, would you like to take this?
Sure. Okay, let me put it this way. Bero is a client obsessed organization, and that is oftentimes an understatement. So for us, client satisfaction means more than just a metric. We track it manically. For us, therefore, it is critical and crucial that our clients are not just satisfied, but really enjoy and engage with us on a daily basis. So for us, for the client satisfaction to rise 200 basis points within 6 months of the launch of our onboarding program was fantastic and really gratifying.
Commendable.
We continue to keep close watch on it, and far from stabilizing or stopping, it appears to continue to be nudging up for the O&D quarter as well. So I'm actually delighted that the biggest metric that we track, which is client satisfaction, has shot up within the first 6 months and continuing to nudge up. The second thing that we look at for an organization of our size and industry niche, procurement, we're focused on procurement, is that it is oftentimes frustrating, and I'll be honest, it's oftentimes frustrating to lose employees after they join. Since the introduction of the refreshed onboarding program, though, we've seen zero non-confirmation of new joinees. So this transference of intangibles, as it were, the life at Barrow, is really ensuring that our new joinees, even if they have lacunae in skills, in subject matter expertise, are picking it up, are able to really scale up. So we have seen zero non-confirmation of new joinees. Also, as I mentioned earlier, and as you can imagine, given the wide-ranging nature of this program, we involve our best employees in the onboarding program to ensure the experience transfer is really awesome. What we've noticed very interestingly is that the attrition of Barrowites, which is Barrow employees, involved in the onboarding program thus far has been zero, which is insanely awesome for us, right? Because our best employees are really engaged and they don't want to leave. Now, all we need to figure out is how can we involve every single Barrowite in the onboarding program, I guess, so no one will ever leave.
Aarti, you'd like to add something there?
Yeah, so Anand, that'll be a nightmare, but yeah, I guess that's something we'll deal with. But yeah, I think he's pretty much covered most of the metrics that we track. Also, another metric that's gone up tremendously after this is internal employee referrals shot up by more than 20%. Okay, so and that was completely without any external impetus. So the moment that employees see that the organization is investing in welcoming new joinees, they're more open to refer friends. And in fact, in some of our recent meetings, I was thinking that we should set a target for 100% recruitment through employee referral. That's like the that's the ultimate thing that can happen if every employee is willing to refer his or her close aide and welcome them into the organization. That itself creates a lot of engagement, and we don't have to do anything artificial around it, so to say. So that's also been another metric that's shot up drastically.
Great. So while we are online, we do have another question that's come from Kunjal Kamdar, very relevant to this set of leaders who are currently online, because this talks about stakeholders and the success and failure. So how does one collaborate with various stakeholders before onboarding, and who is accountable for its success and failure? Now we have definitely Anand as well, who is also a part of the entire process at Barrow. So would you like to take that up, Anand?
Look, I can answer that from my perspective outside in as a business stakeholder. Yes. The way we look at it at Barrow is we don't look at onboarding as something that HR does and therefore helps all of us. In fact, I'm not sure of the origin of the study. There was a study that recently was done of business leaders where they were asked, what are the two biggest areas where you see HR's contribution to the organization? And apart from recruitment, the second biggest was onboarding. So most people recognize that onboarding is important, but they don't necessarily think they have to get involved. Out here, we realized if client satisfaction is as important as we think it is, as we believe it is. If for me, for example, every employee has to be a brand ambassador, I have to get involved right at the initial stage. I have to ensure that I'm able to transfer the experience. I'm able to craft a program that is able to do that, and convince all of my colleagues, all of my peers as well, to participate in this program. So in Bero, we don't look at this as an HR program that we're taking advantage of. We look at this as a program that we're all running, and HR is facilitating at best. I'm sure that's oftentimes a nightmare for Aarti in terms of, battling with so many opinions of business leaders coming in and so forth. But it's very refreshing that when people take ownership, when they take the responsibility, they will usually see through, their part of it as well. And we've seen that at Bero. So in terms of responsibility, I own the responsibility of ensuring every employee is a brand ambassador. I own the responsibility of ensuring I'm able to transfer my experience, and the reason why I believe Bero is the best place to be, to them. Similarly, each of our onboarders, as it were, goes ahead and owns that responsibility. HR is only a facilitator to bring us together. I'm saying only, but I don't mean that lightly at all. They do a fantastic job of getting us together. Aarti?
Yeah.
Thank you. Aarti, now this was a business context, business stakeholder point of view. What is your thoughts on the stakeholder piece?
Savita, that's actually a very that's never been a problem for me to address, because I think it's a very cultural thing in Bero, where people want to be a part of the onboarding process. So like I said, every onboarding batch has an executive sponsor. So that is a person from the top management team, and they want to do it. So there is no external incentivization or anything like that to it, right? So it's a matter of great pride within Bero. So at the end of an onboarding process, we have a short rating system where all of the people who went through the onboarding rate trainers, and it's really a healthy battle there. People want to be rated the best trainer, and it's a matter of pride. So the cultural piece around learning and onboarding sits very well at Bero, and I've never had a problem with having to establish that credibility with the stakeholder. So yeah.
Okay, great, super, super. It's lovely to hear the business stakeholders actually take an initiative to be a part of the onboarding process at Bero, and that's a culture, so that's fantastic. We are left with another 4 minutes, and I do have one very crucial question before. I mean, we also have a lot of questions online, so we'll try and take as many as possible. Before that, I want to take one more question. So, what are some of the things to be kept in mind while designing an onboarding solution? So, any pointers that are applicable for all organizations? So, we have a lot of listeners and viewers right now. Anything for them, Aarti?
Yeah, a couple of points come to mind. These are things that have worked well for us, and I'm sure can be replicated in other organizations. One is that I think an onboarding process should not be a method to dump information or content on on employees who come in, right? Like I said earlier, at the end of the day, knowledge is accessible, and it's the intangibles that matter. So I think the focus of an onboarding program should be in transferring experiences. So, whether it's client successes, in fact, client failures, and reasons for failures, how to handle tough clients. All of those nitty-gritties need to be transferred at the onboarding stage. And I think the other thing is also that some organizations may actually not believe in this, but it's worked well for us. I think an onboarding solution should be a safe space for employees, right? So you give employees a flavor of what it is like out there, the real life, but in a secure environment. So I think that way transition into the organization is very smooth. And I think another thing is that also, in order to make learning relevant, apart from customization, I think it really helps. So I'd spoken earlier about how we customize the onboarding solutions batch-wise. So one interesting thing that we tried was for a lateral hire batch, we didn't run the onboarding program immediately, right? We gave them a space of about 2.5 to 3 weeks before we actually ran the onboarding process. And we found that the level of participation, the energy was so high because they knew exactly what they wanted. So what they absorbed, what they wanted, worked extremely well for them, and they actually came back and said, hey, you know what, we don't need these modules because we've figured it out. So I think being open to tailoring your onboarding solution on the go helps a great deal. And yeah, I think the other thing is to have continuous touch points after the formal program is over. So whether it's in the form of refreshers, or if you want to form a small onboarding alumni group to ensure that they stay in touch, that they also break silos across different departments in the organization. That's something that companies can proactively work on. And while we're at it, I think we also need to make it celebratory. So I think, yeah, those are the things that come to my mind.
Great, great. We have another minute, but I would definitely want to see if Anand would like to add on something. To Arti's points on.
Yeah, just one point though. Not so much about. Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, Anand, you're
Yeah,
on
so
live.
I'm saying not so much about designing, yeah, not so much about designing programs and so forth. Um, when we went out and we wanted to redesign the onboarding program, we went ahead and got a consultant to do it for us, and we realized it's so important for us. It's so central to who we are. It's so central to what Bero does, that the next thing we did was make her our head of HR. So Aarti, therefore the champion of our onboarding process, is now the head of HR itself. So that should tell you how important the process is for us.
Okay, okay, great. That's great to hear. I couldn't hear the last bit, Aarti, on what Anand wrapped up. But if you have heard, if you would want to say what he said, it'll be great. The last few lines.
Okay. That wasn't too relevant, Savita. So basically, he was saying that it's very, very integral to the company. That was what he said.
Great, great, super, super. So we are 30 minutes down, so we are at 5:30. So with this, I would like to definitely thank all our listeners for being a part of the L&D Leadership League Twangout. And with this, we come to an exciting end to the L&D Leadership League Twangout from a part of the L&D Week. And we'd like to thank Aarti and Anand with a big thank you. Thank you so much, Aarti and Anand, for being a part of this entire session and being a part of this entire being a fantastic audience. We're going to see you again tomorrow for the tweet chat on co-creating the strategic learning in changing times with Yashwant Mahadik, Executive Vice President and Global CHRO for Sun Pharma. Please feel free to visit peoplematters.in to register for the same, or join the conversation at LND League. That is hashtag LND League. We really look forward to welcoming you once again. And with this, we'll close this Twangout session for this evening, and wish you a very, very great and inspiring day ahead. Thank you, everybody.